Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Social Confoes, episode 38. And today we're going to do something a bit different. We don't have one guest, but one, two, three, four, five. I see five extra faces in the backstage. Chandu, tell
That's a
us.
lot, right? That's really a lot. So you want me to tell you who they are and what they're doing?
Yeah, what's happening? I'm kind of
So
surprised that
I'm
we
I'm
went.
gonna I'm gonna do to introduce them in a proper manner. I'm also gonna put on some glasses because in the announcement visual they were all wearing glasses. So I guess to do the introduction, I'm also gonna wear my glasses, just like Shafis, because he says it was style glasses. They weren't actual glasses, but actually most of them actually wear glasses. So
Well,
without
I
further
wear
ado,
glasses too, so yeah, it's
I'm,
fine.
I'm
What
gonna
works out?
introduce I'm gonna introduce the one that's actually not wearing glasses at the moment. So welcome, Shafis. Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
Shanluk. Welcome. Now you're making me feel bad. Now you're making me feel bad because now I don't have my style glasses, man.
Okay,
Come on.
I'm gonna take them back off.
Don't
I'm
worry
gonna
about
take
it.
them back off. Yes. And the second one I'm going to introduce is Shiansa. Welcome to Social Confoes.
Hi, thank you.
And there are
Honor.
a lot of ladies, so I'm gonna do Bishafa first,
Hi, everyone.
and then Sahil,
Good
and
evening, everybody.
good evening, and last but not least, Gabriela. So I think
Hi, everyone.
this is the full set of people, Diego. Actually, we had two more slots. We could fit in two more people if we wanted to, but I guess you can finally start off and decide who you want to be the first to properly introduce themselves. I think you got the honors, Diego.
Them properly. And
So Diego is muted. I don't know why he's muted,
yeah, because
but
I was saying if you're not talking, please mute yourself. And when you start talking, don't forget to unmute yourself like I just did. So I just gave you an example on how not to do it. So now you know how to do it, right? And yeah, guys, welcome to Social Convos. And as Jean-Luc said, you guys are all interns at Ineffable. And we want to know, first of all, in short, um, two quick questions and two quick things when you introduce yourself. Tell us your name. How would you describe yourself in 2 words? And what you exactly do as an intern at Ineffable. And we can start off with from left to right or from the bottom up. We can start with Lady.
Hi, good night, good morning, good evening. My name is Lady Gabriela. Um, First off, everyone always mistakes my name. I am at the Ineffable Project. Thanks to Jean-Luc. I interviewed him 2 years ago for a a platform or yeah, a case study that I was doing on the university, and that's how we met. And there we were in contact from LinkedIn. I graduated on the 10th of August 2021, and I saw and heard that he was doing this internship, this ineffable internship, and I was very much interested. And that's how we got in contact once again. And also, my study goals paired with the internship. So I'm very much grateful for Jean-Luc. He really motivated me to do this internship. And besides doing the internship, I've learned a lot more about myself, my character development, the way I see the world, the way I behave with other people. So those are just very beautiful aspects that the internship gave me. Its knowledge, and I very much appreciate it.
So
So once
learning
again, thank
about
you, Jean-Luc.
yourself. Yeah, so learning
Yeah.
about yourself. If you had to describe what you've learned about yourself in 2 words, what would it be to close off your introduction?
Patience, and everything happens for a reason. That's it.
All right, patience and everything happens for a reason. More than 2 words, but two concepts. Fair enough. I'll let that one slide. So next up, I'll go with Sahil.
Gentlemen, good evening. So to start off my introduction, I'm Sahil Mayurat. I'm currently entering my final year of university at FIR, and I'm studying business management. I found this internship not by myself. I really didn't know what Ineffable was, never heard before in my life. I heard from it from a family member and was interested from the moment I saw the Facebook. I was like, this doesn't seem like your usual kind of business in Suriname. Usual businesses here in Suriname are kind of rigid or kind of samey. They have like a samey quality to them. But this one felt unique in a way that it felt kind of young. So that's why I kind of resonated more with you guys, and that's why I kind of started with this internship because I wanted to learn more about social media. I wanted to up my own game because I feel like I didn't have a personal brand online, and I wanted to start with my own development. Yeah, that's kind of why I started with this internship. And two things I would describe myself as is confident and talkative. If you want a third one, it's probably also weird, but that's beside the point.
Got it. Confident, talkative, and weird. Next up, Ushafe. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Hey everyone, yes, Diego pronounced good. My name is Usha Faye Jarkasi. I'm 29, I guess the oldest in the team. Um, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this advertisement about an internship at the Ineffable. Just like Sahil, I never heard about Ineffable. I always saw the social media conference, but I was never interested because most of like few of my friends, they know I'm not into social media. I don't even love social media platforms, but at some point you need to go out of the box, try something new, and just explore. And that's just the reason why I decided to take a chance, go for it, and just be creative and yes, um, just be yourself at some point. How would I describe myself? Creative and open-minded.
Creative and open-minded. Awesome. And then next, we got a guy again, Chavez, right? But he's known as Consensi on the screen, and I guess he'll explain that in a second as well.
Yes, good evening. My name is Shafis Linger. I'm 22 years old. In October, I'll turn 23. Consensi, that is the name of, let's say that's my brand name. That's the name I use. And a little backstory about the name. I've always loved the name Consensi. Consensi means consciousness. Consciousness of who you are, consciousness about what you want to do, and consciousness about the moments in your life, the beautiful moments in your life. I am also a photographer, so I capture beautiful moments in other people's lives, and that's usually what I do in as a business. Um, why did I decide to apply for the internship? I was, let's say, I was invited by one of the. I'm also a volunteer, and I'm a volunteer at the Hub Community Center. And the chairman of the Hub Community Center sent me the link to the application, and I decided to apply. I read it. What was in the link, and I saw that hey, this could really work for me, for my business, for my photography business, but also for a career in social media marketing, because I know that eventually um, I could work for a company and help them connect with their clients more and be more, let's say, yeah, connect with their customers and help them deliver better products. So that's the thing. That's why I decided to apply for the internship. Oh,
And your two
before I
words,
forget,
I think one is consciousness, I
there's
guess.
two words. Almost forgot. Yeah, one is consciousness and one is social. I'm a very social person.
So social consciousness. So last but not least, Shiansa. Shiansa. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yeah, my name is I'm 22 years old. I'll be 23 I'm studying economics at University. This is my final year. I have to write my thesis, etc. Um, I've heard about through mail. I I to work at Interpol to be Jean-Luc's assistant, but and then they told me that they're gonna be
Okay,
that's how I heard of internship. Yeah,
so that was
that
very choppy
aligns with my
for
study.
me.
I'm doing marketing. I'm in marketing. Yeah, I want to major in marketing, and yeah, I want to know more about social. I wanted to know more about social media marketing. Side to yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna do something here because
how I
I,
describe myself. Yeah,
yeah, just finish that sentence and
so
then,
okay. I describe myself as talented, super talented, um, and creative. Yeah.
all right. So I'm gonna challenge the four of you now because I don't know if it was just me. The connection was very choppy. I did hear talented and super creative. So I'm gonna ask um, Sahil to describe Chianza very shortly, very briefly, to recap what you just said.
I'm gonna do my best here, but this is probably the most difficult undertaking I've ever done. All right. You said something about you being creative, you being 23 years old, studying economics. I don't know where because I missed that part. Uh, uh,
I think
uh,
Gabriela can help you out with that one.
yeah, help me out, buddy.
All right. Okay. So she is studying at the University of Suriname. I would know because I studied there as well and I saw her. She said she's creative, and I also have a hint that she's a bit nervous, girl. It's okay, but I couldn't hear anything more. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and it's not your fault. It's just the internet
I think
connection that just
Oh, yeah.
pulled away for a
the
second.
internet
It's okay.
connection. I think.
Yeah. So don't worry too much about it. You did fine. You did fine. I mean,
Yeah.
Bishop is popping in and out of the connection. And I mean, for us, this is new as well because we never had this many guests on social convos. So we're just going to wing a little bit of it as well. So don't worry about it too much. We've had a couple of questions. Helio saying, Shafes, did you say photography? So Helio fully also jumped into to the show, and Denzel says informative. And we all know, even though it's just a LinkedIn user standing there, we know that's Anil, right, Diego? Yeah,
Most
Diego is
definitely.
shaking his head. So basically, you guys told us all what your kind of the way you got into the internship, which is a really fun thing for me to hear. Like some people knowing about the internship as well, some people like not knowing about Ineffable at all. And Siansa, what I did hear from Siansa is that you actually did apply for the executive assistant function as well, and we invited a couple of people that applied for that, and told them like, listen, we actually do want you to be part of the Ineffable team, or do want you to partake in an internship, because we did think you were cool, but we only had one position available for the executive assistant, whereas now for the internship, I think we started with 40 interns, Diego. So basically what you're seeing here is
Could
a
you repeat that?
really
Four
we
zero.
we started with 40 interns this
So that's
internship.
40. Okay.
Yes, 40. And Ushafe, maybe the oldest that's she's laughing right now. She might be the oldest that's still left, but we started with two 50-year-olds. I don't know if they know, so we're gonna ask the interns in a second if they knew that when they started the internship, there were actually two people that were over the age of 50 also participating. I'm also already seeing some heads like, wait, what? Did that happen? But yes, yes, that did actually happen. Yeah. So how the internship went is that basically we started off. It's a 2 month, 8 weeks internship, and we started off with 50, and current there are between 20 and 25 interns that are going to finish the training part of the internship, which is the first 4 weeks. So you can say about half of them are going to graduate from the training part of the internship. But the question, of course, that I have to ask you guys is, what was your favorite part? And I'm gonna ask Diego again to decide who's gonna jump in. I'm seeing here that Denzel is streaming all the way from the US. Pretty cool, Denzel. Thanks for supporting Social Convo in that way. That's pretty awesome. And Anil says, great way to deal with the bad internet, Diego. That was awesome.
All right. So yeah, what was your favorite part in the internship? I see. Let's do the reverse order this time. I hope Shiansa's connection is a bit better. So why don't you start off, Shiansa? And if it's still choppy, we'll switch it up, and then we can
Yeah.
see what we can do in the back end. But so far, sounds good. So go ahead.
Okay, the favorite part was like I said, I'm is used and a lot for my I left the
Okay, I think that's maybe we should switch it up.
I get together with all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let Shafis go first, and you can check with Jean-Luc in
Okay. Okay.
backstage to see how we can fix that. But let's start off with Shafis
Yeah.
first while you resolve that connection.
Yes. The best part of the internship. I think it's the chance to experience something like this with other people. I think it's the opportunity for me. It's the opportunity to get to know a lot more people, to network, to work on my network of of of, of like-minded people, people who are interested in the same things as I am. I think that's one of the number one reasons, one of the number one things that I love about this internship, and it's also the chance to. The best part of this internship is the chance to learn so much, because there is so much to learn about social media and how to use
If
it as a tool to
if you had to
better
narrow
your
it down to one
company, to
specific
better
thing,
yourself.
social media, what would it be?
Oh, okay, social media. to one specific thing about social media
Yeah,
that
that
I've
you've
learned.
learned. Yeah.
I think, of course, it has to be the, I think it's the journey of the client, the journey of the customer. That's the best part of the internship. I learned about.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Sorry to cut you off there because we're trying to keep it really concise and we got a lot more to talk about. So for you guys that are gonna follow up, so be very clear, specific, and you narrow it down to one specific or just best first thing that comes to mind thing when you think of Ineffable's internship. Got it?
Are we just gonna go for 2 hours? But I don't think that's the idea.
Well, if they're game for it, I can go all night. So yeah, next up, I'll give Ushafe the chance.
Hey Diego, thank you. I'm real sorry about my internet connection, but I hope you all hear me clear. The best part. So every part is the best part for me, but being specific is creative content.
Wow, she just really jumped out of the middle. So at least the video quality is really good. We're gonna give Gabriela a try first, and then we're gonna ask Ushafe again to tell her story.
All right. Hi. Thank you, Jean-Luc. Thank you, Diego. The best part about the Ineffable internship was the networking, getting to know new people, the wisdom, knowledge, patience, and just getting the hang of it. Thank you.
All right, I see Shianza is back. Before we pop her up, I'll give Sahil the next turn, and then we'll add Shianza back up to the stream.
All right. I agree with what Shafa said about meeting new people. I resonate a lot with the interns here because they're of the same mind as me in terms of personal growth, and also the people at work here because at the meet and greet that we had, I didn't expect to get along with so many other people that work there, but also, well, for lack of a better word, chill and young-minded. But I would say the best thing that internship has given me is it's forced me to do things I would never ever do myself. Like something I did that hasn't been posted yet is a vlog that I did on the street talking with people and editing that. I would never ever have done that by myself, and I'm glad and fortunate that you guys have pushed me to try new creative endeavors. Thanks.
Cool. And then we'll bring up Shianza. Is he there? I did pick the right one, right? Yeah.
I do
So
think you picked the
Shianza,
right one. So you can give it a try. Siansa, you do have to unmute yourself, but let's give it a try and see if this connection is better. And otherwise, we're gonna do it without the video.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What was the question again? I was busy
What has been your favorite? What has been your favorite? The
trying
best part
something.
of the internship.
Yeah. What was the question again?
What was the best part of the internship?
Yeah. As I said, content creation was the best part because I get to um show my creative side of it, and yeah, that was the best part. And I love the happy hour because we could talk with the other interns and get to know each other better and learn from each other. And yeah, that's it.
Sounds
Diego, I see that Gabriela wants to add one more thing, so let's give her the opportunity to do that, and then we're gonna continue.
All right. Thank you, Jean-Luc. I want to add as well that I've learned about cryptocurrency. You see, people in Suriname here fail to understand cryptocurrency, the power it has. And I have had now a brighter vision of it thanks to the Ineffable internship. I've also learned about Hive, very important. So that was a very good and also a priority for me as well. I was not expecting that, if I'm very honest. So thank you for that.
interesting. We got our unsolicited hype plug as we always do, Sherlock. I think you snuck that one in
No,
without
I
knowing.
did. I was not involved in that. I was not involved in that.
Uh,
Moreno is giving a instant crypto.
and he has
Coming
his
in.
VV symbol there, of course, the circle. Anyways, we got some viewer questions that came in. So we'll quickly go through those and then we'll move to the next part. Let's see here. Michael says, okay, Michael just gave a tip for the connection. Try to turn off your video, Shiansa. We'll see how that goes. Question from Nathaniel to the interns. The, oh, there we go. Do you think you will look at social media different now, or do you have the same perspective of social media? So if you look at it from before you started the internship, has anything changed from that perspective? Do you think social media will be different for you guys? So why don't you kick us off, Gabriela, and then since you close us off there, and then we'll go around again.
All right. Absolutely not. Because I have came to understand the real power of social media, the influence that social media has, but also the ability to reach people not only in your own country but abroad. So my answer to that is social media is far more reachable than you think, and social media is the future. Thank you.
All right. Sahil, got any thoughts on that?
I do agree with what she said, but I'm on a different mind about that question. I think the biggest thing that changed for me in terms of social media is branding wise. Because the things that you've taught me, I've learned in smaller capacities here and there, but it definitely helped. But branding wise, I had no idea that these little changes, like making better posts, making like nicer looking stories, I had no idea like it had this huge of an impact of the way people perceive you and your content. Like I remember when I first started implementing the things that you guys taught me, I got reactions like I never did before. I was like, this is new. And what's different? Really, these little changes did all this? I was surprised. Really was. That was my view on what you guys have taught me up till now.
Okay, I'll take one more, then we'll go to the next question. Chavez, or yeah, Chavez, you got one take on that, and then we'll go to the next question with Ushafi.
No, my perspective on social media hasn't changed. I know I've always known of let's say I've known for a long time that social media can be used as a tool to brand yourself and to use as tool to also to let's say connect with your audience, connect with your followers you have, and yeah, I've learned a lot, and I agree with Lady and Sahil about social media and the things it has to offer to you and how you present yourself to the world. So yeah.
Okay, so why don't we stay on that thought for a second and go directly with Moreno's question? What are the personal qualities that you needed to develop during your internship that you wish they would teach in school?
Ooh, that's a good one, actually.
So
Oh, should we
while
leave the question in? I think anyone can answer now. We'll just pop the question
yeah,
back up, and the first one to jump to answer this question is free to start.
So Ushafe,
I.
all right,
I
Gabriela.
am really sorry. Internet is my internet is very bad. It's big challenge right now.
So while you're here, you can try to give us the answers to Moreno's question. What are personal qualities that you needed to develop during the internship that you wish? Oh, she's out again. Wish they would teach in school. So feel free for Sahil, Shafis, or Gabriela to answer this question.
I wish they would have teach me more about IT and how it works. I wish I would have known more about graphic designs, more about, social media as itself. I lacked in my study the little aspect of social media. I only had the theory, but I did not know the power marketing, specifically digital marketing, has today.
Anyone like to add or share their thoughts before we move on?
I'd
I
like
would.
to add. I'd like to add.
Oh,
Oh,
you go
Sahil,
first. You go
you the
first.
honors. I can go
Oh,
first.
thanks. Oh, I'm full screen already, so I'll do it.
Do it.
So we had a subject in school called social media marketing, and I knew from the beginning that this was not it. I knew what I learned in school was not, reality. The reality is what I was taught here. Because in school, like you only learn the theory behind, like like why does X pose have this reaction to a crowd, or why does this create this, but not how to create a certain type of reaction. It's just a theoretical part, and I wish they did more of the practical stuff at school. That's what I really, really miss.
And Shafis, as you answered that, I'll throw the next question to you after you answer this one, because this one's
Yes,
specifically
I've
for you.
I've learned during the internship. I've learned a lot about organizing your stuff, organizing your to-do list, and I think that at school, as especially I think high school, I think it would have been a, I would think it would have been a bad I think it would have been great if teachers invested more in helping students organize their stuff, because that I think that obviously would have helped them, not only in school but also in the long run in their careers. So that's one thing I would have liked to learn at school.
I want to
Okay.
quickly jump into this one, Diego, if I may. So I think Chavez makes a very interesting point because I didn't look at it that way. I think the part of the internship what's extra for organizing is the project management part, which you have to do as part of many assignments. And I can attest to that because in high school I never had an agenda like physically, like you get an agenda, right, and you have to plan in and you have to know what classes are at what time and what day. And even when I joined university, I still didn't have an agenda, so I would bike to the university in Tilburg, and then hopefully I'd be on time to ask the people, like meet up with my friends and be like, oh, so where's the next class, because I never wrote it down. And when I started working, I was all of a sudden confronted with, okay, I do need to use a calendar now. I wasn't used to using any kind of calendar, which is weird because my dad is really structured, and he came in to IT in the 80s, and he's been structured ever since. So he has like a zero inbox policy, and I'm like one of the people who before I started structuring had like 10,000 emails in my email box, and I had to really learn that by like the hard way to avoid having double meetings and 200 meals still being on red. So those kind of things are really things that uh, aren't really things that you can learn in school. And I think the biggest reason you cannot learn that in school is because if you would judge everybody on that, especially in a general level, school educational level, there will be people that don't need that in their future work, don't need to have that structure. If you're like a creative and you only have to do one thing a day and you're that damn good at doing that one thing a day, that you do it and you get paid enough by the end of the month to live off. I do really understand that you don't need that. But like if somebody's in social media and you need to post 3 times a day and you have to schedule content and you have to have meetings with clients, you do need that structure. So I think that's a really interesting perspective that I didn't even think of that when we put it into the internship. I didn't think of it that way, that it's something that's actually you don't get it at school. You have to learn that during when you start working.
Interesting perspective, and thanks for sharing that as well, Jean-Luc. So back to Chavez, there's a question specifically up for you as the photographer. Do you think social media influences photography in the sense that people might think photography is just taking pictures because you can just use your phone, no skills needed? I have my take on this, but you go first.
Can you pop up the question again for me so I can see the question? Yes, thank you. How do you think social media influences photography in the sense that people might think photography is just taking pictures? You can just use your phone, no skills needed. Um, I think it has. I would say that it has a positive impact because in my photography page on my photography page on Instagram, I look at other content creators and I look at other content creators that use it for jobs and that use it for business. So I think social media offers that perspective to see other photographers to let's say differentiate photographers who work as a photographer as photographers, but also you just do it for them just because they're okay. I'm not saying that none of the photographers are passionate about it. Every photographer should be passionate about making pictures, but they use their passion in a different way. They use it for creative purposes, not to gain, not to work, or not to earn money. So I think social media influences photography in a positive way because it gives you more a broader perspective about what photography has to offer to the world.
I got to agree with you there. And to add to that, specifically Instagram, I think, and several other photo focused apps have changed the landscape as a whole, and not just photography. If you look at it, Instagram has changed the whole visual meta on the internet because average people have become generally better at taking photos, and not just with a professional camera with their phone. Aesthetically, with the easy filters, it has changed the whole way that companies can make content visually. So I do think that especially Instagram and photo like applications have helped in that sense to level up, I guess, the marketing, the media as a whole. So that's what I just wanted to add to that. And then specifically for you, Sahil, since you had that vlogging experience, how did uh, how did you deal with the what will people think of me part when going more social and approaching people on the streets with your vlogs?
Well, it didn't really matter to me because I knew I was going to be the only one that was going to have to approach and ask. I was there with two of my friends. One of them was the cameraman, and one was there for, as he put it, emotional support. So we went there. I spoke to about, on the top of my head, like I think 17 or 18 people, and they all said no.
Wow,
So
this
I,
is
you
this
know,
is a really interesting experience. Go ahead, go ahead.
it was my very first time doing this, so I decided I wanted to go to Wakapasi because on a Saturday, because those days had the most amount of people to go there. And my whole goal with it was to get more information for nerdy kind of guys, because I watch these YouTubers, right, in America that do this kind of sweet interviews about, you know, what does X person think of this topic, and my kind of topic was gonna be like, you know, what do girls think about guys that are into nerdy stuff? Because I've heard so many contradicting things from different people about, they hate it, they like it, they're indifferent, stop it, don't do it, it's great, it's cool, it's new. And I just wanted to set the record straight. So I was like, all right, let me just go to the source and ask girls for myself. So I put on my boots, took my mic, and drove all the way to Makapasi with my two dumbass friends to conduct this experiment, a social experiment, if you would say. Yeah, I started at 4 o'clock. We ended at I think 6:30, 7 o'clock maybe, with 18 or 17 interviews under my belt. That which they all said no, but I dealt with it just fine. Like I didn't really think of okay, what did people think of me? People started looking, but I never was like, oh, they think I'm weird because I don't think of them. I'm never gonna see them again. That was my whole mindset with that. Like I would do it again. Like I don't care about the rejection. Like I really like the experience and I would like to get better at it because I always thought for okay, if they didn't like my approach, there's something wrong with me. I got to change the approach to make myself more approachable and them more willing to talk to me and open up to me a little bit. It doesn't have to be long, but I refuse to believe that it's just them. It has to be partly with me too. So like anybody got a hot take on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you one to feel a little bit better. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm it's not a similar experience like the same, but I think trying something new, it's very underrated. It's very difficult to try something new and get out of your comfort zone. So I have an idea for the conference, what you can do on the social media conference with that, and I'm gonna guarantee that everybody will answer you there. So we're definitely gonna use it, but I just want to give you a sample explanation of how difficult it is because I'm very outgoing. I'm pretty much, for most people, I'm an extrovert, even though I have a lot of introvert tendencies. I'm considered an extrovert. So when the first time I was in San Diego for social media marketing world, I wanted to go out for a drink before the day before the conference, but I didn't really know the networking part of conferences as much. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go on Twitter and I'm just going to tweet out using the hashtag. And especially in big conferences outside of in the US and in Europe, like local brands and local coffee shops and restaurants, they watch out for the big tweets for the tweets from the conferences and they reply to those tweets. So actually one of the restaurants reached out to me and said like, hey, why don't you come and have a drink at our spot? And I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. There are going to be a lot of people of the conference there. And I went there and like basically I was sitting alone at the bar. There was nobody from the conference there. There were like a lot of other groups of people there who were doing their own thing and had no intention of interacting with me. And that was a very interesting experience because the person I ended up speaking the most with was, I'm not sure if it was a bum, but eventually they kicked the guy out for being too drunk. So it's just a perspective that it's definitely something you're going to have to overcome. And it's like the first experience you have of that, it's a really good experience of one, being just completely different than you're expected, but it also takes the pressure away because you're like, how much worse can it be than that experience? And if that's the worst experience that I'm gonna have, I think it's gonna be better the next time. So I'm okay. I'm not sure if Sahil, if you felt the same way, could you relate to that or not?
I could 100% find myself in that. Oh, like, you said you were talking to a bum that was drunk for half the time. I kind of had something similar. So it was at the end of the night. Me and my friends basically just gave up and just bought coconuts to drink out of, and we were just sitting there, just talking about nothing. And then three people just walked up and sat down with like a big ass bottle of beer, just doing the same thing, just like okay, it's hot yeah, okay. It was like, oh, okay, cool. This is the best conversation I had all day. Cool. But I would definitely love to do it again. If you ever have a task for me, something like that, I would like to learn from you because you clearly have some experience in going out and talking to people in a more business type of sense. So if you ever have a job for me, just hit me up. I'd love to do that.
Awesome. And I think the viewers can adjust to that as well. So we have a couple of more questions. Gregory, I think um, Gregory can't find you, Diego. Should we ask him to look a little bit better?
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine.
Okay, so what question should we do next? We still have some questions. I think the following question is by Tevin. So there are so many social media channels out there. How do you look at trying out new ones and why? I think that's a good one for Gabriela. Like, which new channel did you try out during the internship that you hadn't been on before, and how was that experience?
Jean-Luc, that is a very funny question. And that experience was stressful because I didn't know anything about those platforms. For example, Trello, Asana, now this new one, Rock. I just got bumped into it and I had to figure it out. So I was like, what am I doing? What is going on? I was asking people, I was slacking Jean-Luc. Jean-Luc never corresponded on time. I was like, wow. So I'm really on my own. They did that. But eventually I figured it out. It went all well. By the way, Trello is my new favorite app to organize and plan
I
my
have a better one
events,
for you, but after this, we'll talk about it.
my my uh my schedules. People keep telling me it's Asana. I I don't think so, but I'll give it a try. So that was my experience. It was stressful, funny. I thought, what am I doing? But eventually I figured it out.
So Diego, I think like there are two people asking this the question here, like how big is the podcast audience in Suriname? Listen, I have no idea what the potential is. I'm just gonna take from a music perspective on Spotify. If you look at like the big Spotify, the best songs on Spotify. There are numerous songs that have already reached over 100,000 listens on Spotify. So that's also something that's it's growing. Podcasting is a little different. I'm not sure. There also aren't that many podcasts. I think there are currently like 5 to 6 podcasts that upload on a weekly basis. So it's not even that much. So I'm sorry. I don't think I can honestly answer that question. The idea behind it is that we create the audience ourselves. I'm really hoping for a crossover, and we're working on a crossover radio podcast um, concept because I think it's hard to transition to just podcasting. And Diego, you got the numbers on the Social Confoes podcast, but in most cases, audio only podcast it's very new, and I don't think we're quite used to like saying like if I'm driving in the car, I'm gonna listen to a podcast instead of listening to radio. Or if I'm at home cleaning out the house, I'm gonna listen to a podcast instead of listening to the radio or something else. So I think it's still the podcast space is still being built, but there is a lot less competition in the podcasting space compared to radio station or other traditional media. So there's a lot of growth. But you just have to realize you're going to be in the same position if you start a podcast as the people starting out 20 years ago with their own Surinamese television productions, the way they started out. So it's going to be really difficult as well.
Yeah, so to quickly add to Jean-Luc on numbers, data and analytics on podcasts specifically are very fragmented and kind of hard to crunch down in general. And if you look at the number from Social Confoes in general, and I'm unsure about the other podcasts, but if you get a few hundred listens on an episode, that I'd say that's pretty good. And as Jean-Luc said, the audience and the demographics here in Suriname is much different than if you look in the United States. Even in Europe, it's still very underrated, very, very heavily underrated. China still is upcoming and in the Asian markets, but the biggest market share of podcast listeners are from the Western Hemisphere and specifically North America. That's where you have the biggest listeners. So here in Latin America, the Caribbean, it's something that you still very much have to create, and especially how we do it in English, not the local language, because our intention is to reach a broader audience internationally as well, and to accommodate guests from the international English-speaking countries. You'll have less I'd say overlap with the local demographics. So it's very hard to measure, but I'd say the key would be to focus on the creation process, the content creation process, and that you can spin off into different types of media, into different types of content. But I'd say start from there, and then you can always repurpose the the audio snippets from the podcast into an Instagram story, a YouTube short clip, a TikTok video, and that's how you can grow the audience. So that's a different type of audience again. So it's very hard to narrow it down specifically to how large is the audience. I hope that makes sense. And I think this is a good place. Did we miss any questions?
No, yeah, I think there's one more question, but I'm not sure how that's going to be answered. But I think Helio wants to see how much of a deep dive you guys really got into crypto. So I'm really wondering how you will respond to this question.
I think it was Gabriella said who had her mind open, right? So why don't you give it a shot, Gabriella, with Hive maybe? Have to stay with
Okay.
ADA or XRP in this case.
I have experience with Hive, and Jean-Luc explained the crypto to me, to be honest. But my Hive experience is very chill. It's transparent. You can write about your own daily life. It's a I am alive community. And when you write the post, you get paid. It's a 50-50. So when people vote as well, they get paid. When you write, you get paid. So it's a very clean and transparent blog that I would say. I very much like Hive, and I would recommend it to anyone. Please get yourself a Hive.
Quick question. How was it for you as a very new person to get onboarded, to interface with the platform, to make your account?
Oh
Because
boy.
that is usually the
Oh
biggest
boy.
hurdle. How was that for you, Gabrielle?
I'm gonna be very honest. I had this networking meeting, and I knew from the very first time. I had my mindset. I'm just going to introduce myself to Jean-Luc, and the first thing I'm going to ask him, why is my Hive account not working? Why can I get into SNC? What is going on? I have my keys. They're not working. I have been on it for 5 days. Please help me. And Jean-Luc, he looked into it. He saw that SNC was not working on my phone. We were both stressing at some point about it. And then Jean-Luc said, you know what, let's just drop it. We are going with HiveBlock. And ever since I've used HiveBlock, I've never had problems with HiveBlock. I could just post easily. I can just see people's posts. I can vote. I can comment. It's very chill. It's very transparent. But SNC really was a stressful scenario for me. I would not recommend that if you are an iPhone user.
I do want to quickly jump into that because Diego, I think that was the difficult part. I think when you deal with decentralized apps, kind of like when it's centralized and like the whole goal is to get as many people on it, even if it's crappy content, even if it's doesn't matter, it's about the numbers game. You need to get as many people on it as possible. You have to get as many people addicted. They kind of make sure that it works on every device, that it works on every browser, that it works on everything. And just a couple of these interfaces on Hive, they weren't optimized for iPhones or certain browsers. So it was really hard to get in. So we ended up with like the main block, which in the end worked. So I guess that's a very important thing to do as well. And yeah, we have Motef saying like, yes, get paid in Hive to write a blog. That's basically the only reason. So I don't think the idea is to send out to the general public that the ineffable internship, you learn about crypto and it's going to be a crypto space and people learn about investing in crypto. But I think the part about the internship which is important for people to know is that we do look at different social media platforms, and just like the interns have to make TikTok videos, they also have to know that there are platforms where you can actually write content and get paid in crypto, and instead of having to invest money of yourself into the crypto space, that you can actually earn by creating content in crypto. And I think that's the idea, because I think a lot of people in Suriname struggle. They're like, how do I get paid with social media? How do I get paid with social media? And then they hear, oh, you have to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and 4,000 watch hours, and then you get paid. Then you get a partnership program. And whereas if you upload on TreeSpeak, you get paid for your videos instantaneously. You don't have to wait till you have that reputation. And most importantly, it's getting more difficult and more difficult on traditional platforms to stand out. So if you're on a platform where there are only about 10,000 to 100,000 active users creating content, it becomes a lot easier. And I think that's also with TikTok from a mainstream perspective, because there are a lot of people on TikTok that don't create content. Once you start creating content on TikTok, you kind of get discovered easier and you grow your account quicker than, say, for instance, Instagram. So I think that's a very interesting perspective to think about as well.
Hi, Shanuk, can I please jump in?
Go ahead.
So with TikTok, I've always said that I would never be that person to make a TikTok video. But in the Ineffable internship, I came to understand that TikTok is the way to connect with people. And I was very happy when I went to my networking event that I could network with my teammates and make a TikTok video. I think that was very beautiful. And it was also a way to bond with people. So TikTok, I would recommend TikTok as well. Instagram, Facebook, Hive, all of the social media platforms. And that is the most important basis of the internship. You see, people my age, they are very frightened to use these platforms because they're thinking, what am I doing? This is just funny content, it's irrelevant. But you get a different perspective. And I think that was the main focus for the internship. I think that was John Luke's also his goal. And he's achieved it because I have a different vision for all the social media platforms.
Thanks for sharing that, Gabriella. And I think this is a good place to. I see another question from Helio, but to ensure that this doesn't become a crypto talk, Helio, I want to invite you to a social confoes to that we can go more in depth into these topics. So I'd like to invite you for either next week or the week after to join us on Social Convo. So this is a public invitation to you, Helio, and then we
Yes, you
can
can back out of this. You
talk
can back out of
all
this.
crypto
You
you
have to be
want,
our guest now
crypto
in the next two
photography,
weeks.
social media, and how you implement it in your journey. So yeah, let's do that. We await your reply, and yeah, and to I guess round this off a bit, I kind of find it unfortunate that Ushafi and Shiansa couldn't really reconnect back, but that doesn't deter us from the fun we'll have in the next part and the final part of this fun conversation, and that is the overrated, underrated. And I think how we'll do this is I'm gonna we're gonna throw in some subjects, and if you get a very strong hot take, like either strongly overrated and underrated, we'll give you that one, and then we'll move on to the next one. So we have some more variations in the overrated, underrated. So I want to start it off with do you think, and first one to unmute gets it, do you think Ineffable is overrated or underrated? And you can be brutally honest.
Diego, how dare you? But go ahead. There's no wrong or right answer. I'm gonna take myself out so you can answer honestly.
Okay, I go first. I would say underrated because not everyone knows Ineffable, even though it's a very important platform in Suriname these days. But I think it needs more social media boost. People don't really know or understand what Ineffable actually is. But once you get the hang of it, you get to understand it. So that's my honest opinion.
All right, Chan, look, you can go for the next one. We will keep it at one person
Okay,
for one.
okay. Overrated, underrated. Let's go with Google Drive. Is Google Drive overrated or underrated?
It's overrated. OneDrive is just better. Like the Microsoft apps, in my experience, I just find them much easier and much more organized to use. The Google apps just feel kind of childish, to be honest. They don't really feel like something I would use regularly in like a professional sense. Because I use OneDrive and Outlook and Teams and all those apps for school. I'm really used to them and they're so much easier to use. Like I also prefer Teams more over Zoom because Zoom is just the 45-minute window is also terrible. So like all that. I'm sorry, it's a hot take, but everything you guys use is kind of overrated.
No, fair enough. That's your take, and I actually use OneDrive as well as my preferred cloud storage. But that's the only Microsoft servers that I actually prefer over other services. So that's my 2 cents on that. So next one for me is I've actually noticed that none of you except Gabriela has an active LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, overrated or underrated?
Underrated.
So why aren't you more active on it then?
Honestly, I've just got into LinkedIn, and when I opened it, I've seen the list of the people I know, my friends, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe I never knew about this. So this is a very personal opinion, this is very personal. And I've seen the things that they've listed, and all things that I've experienced with them, I saw. So yeah, for me, it's an underrated app. But I also don't see people that usually are active, but I don't see them on LinkedIn. People are active in their daily lives, and they're not on LinkedIn, which is a shame because people need to know. People are there to connect with you. So for me personally, it's an underrated app here in Suriname.
I
I'm
second
gonna
that.
I'm gonna jump in with a very fun one, Diego. Influencers, underrated or overrated?
Overrated as hell, bro.
Overrated.
Overrated. Especially the Surinamese ones. Oh my god, just shut up. Like I can't with you
Please
guys.
shut up.
Nobody cares about your goddamn fried chicken. You guys know who I'm talking about, but nobody cares. I hate them so much.
So how
I
would you
wouldn't
do it
say
differently?
hate. Hate is a
How would I
strong
do it
word.
differently? Well, two things I've noticed about Surinamese influencers in particular, they're not consistent and they don't have a theme for their channel or preferred social media outlet. So I would do, like, for instance, if I was gonna start a YouTube, I would, one, pick a theme. Like, this is what I would want to do. Like, for instance, if I was gonna be a travel blogger, I would, you know, make theme videos about going on Suriname or going out in some other country. Second, I would scale my quality. What I've noticed is Surinamese vloggers don't scale their quality up with their growing following. Like, you could have 0 subscribers, and you can have the same quality as you have when you have 10,000 subscribers. I've seen this happen. They still use the same cameras, use the same audio mixing. They still use the same style of presenting, which I should also think should change. Because I've also seen, like, the way they present is very well. It's not really consistent in all their videos. Sometimes they're very serious. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they just try to appeal to more, I guess, children, because I assume that's the biggest demographic of their channel. That's what I'm not so sure, but that's why they act so childish all the time. Like, that's the only reason I would assume they do that, and that's why I also have so many comedy types of channels or comedy, types of channels on in Suriname. So that's what I would do. I would, pick a theme, scale it, and be consistent. So that's what I would do.
All right. Did you have anything to add, Gabriela, or can we go to the next one?
No, Shahil really just said everything.
Okay, then the next one for me is a MBA, so a business course, a MBA title.
Okay, overrated, but I would still do it.
Overrated because I have a BSc, Bachelor of Science.
I'm going for a BBA, so like I feel kind of a tech nerd now. So
No, it's nothing personal. It's just my personal choice. Bachelor of Science for me.
Bachelor of Business Administration.
All right, Jean-Luc, you got any more?
Yes. Making mistakes, overrated or underrated?
Underrated.
Underrated.
Does any of three of you want to elaborate on that?
Okay, because we are humans. We need to make mistakes in order to grow. If you don't make a mistake, there is something definitely wrong with you. And by making mistakes, you learn, you grow, you understand the way of life. So, yes, go out there, go make mistakes, fall, jump, fall back. But the most important part is learn from those mistakes and grow from those mistakes. That's all I have to say.
Okay, I got a controversial one here. An unpaid internship.
Yeah, that's
Underrated.
overrated, Chief. That's overrated,
No.
Chief. Because I've
Okay,
done
so
both.
Sahil says overrated.
I've done a paid internship, and this is the unpaid internship. But this, like, I did enjoy this one more. I will say that I did enjoy this one more. But I would like to get paid.
So Gabriela, for you, why is it so underrated?
Because you get to learn more than you expect. So you get knowledge, and then knowledge is power, and then you can use it for your further life, for your career, for your own goals. So it's already free. Just take it. Make the best of it.
I see Sahil's a little bit saying like, yeah, I can, but I still have a different take on it as well.
No,
I mean,
I think no. She brought up a good point. This was free. Like the
okay.
last one, I
Thank
had to
you.
fight tooth and nail to get in. So that's why I kind of appreciated getting paid more. But this was for free, and I think I've
Exactly.
learned way more like generally applicable skills. So you know what, Gabriela, I'm with you now.
Thank you,
You've
Sahil. I
convinced me.
appreciate that.
You've convinced me.
Thumbs up for you.
Hey.
So, what I want to do to close it off, Diego, is in the first week of the internship, there was a lot of company culture stuff going through and a lot of videos. And the interns had to take quotations. So, quotes, or not quotations, sorry, quotes of kind of thought leaders all over the world. I think mainly Simon Sinek, Gary Vaynerchuk, Naval Ravikant. I think there was also one with Ricardo Semler in there, if I'm not mistaken. And I do wonder. Of course, I can go in their Google Drive and pick out which ones they chose, but they chose multiple for the assignment. So I'm wondering, from all of those talks that you listened to, that you've watched, what would be your favorite quote or the best lesson you've learned? And how did that quote or that lesson learned relate to things that you gotten in later weeks in the internship, later into the internship as well?
Oh, welcome back, Shafi. Did you
Thank
get that
you.
last question?
After 1 hour.
So Jean-Luc asked, do you have a specific quote that you like to share with us?
Yes, I have one. I guess it's Simon Sinek. The one, the catchy one, was change your future by taking accountability for your actions. Cause I'm working for a telecom communication, and you have responsibilities. I'm doing administration, and so what I see, like, we are humans, just like lady said. You need to make mistakes, but accountability, most of the people don't want to take that. It's a it seems like a big risk to take responsibilities, and I hope in the future that we all just, when we have a task to do, just take responsibility to cover everything you need.
I want to jump in that in the answer she gave, and I would like to say, own up to your mistakes. I mean, it's normal to make mistakes, but own up to them and correct them, and don't make them again.
So, Sahil or Shafis, would you like to share one as well?
Yeah, I'll share the quote of Gary V. And where he said, where he was brutal. It was one of the videos where he was brutally honest. He said, if you can, if you find time to worry about the things of someone else, you're taking away precious time. You're taking away from time that you could figure out something for yourself. And I've always had this problem of comparing myself to other people. Hey, look, I wanna make my pictures like him. I wanna do this. I wanna do that like them. But I'm not focusing on me. I'm not focusing on the products that I can deliver. So yeah, that's a quote I resonated a lot with, and I really find myself within it. So that's one of my favorite quotes.
All right. So we got Simon Sinek, Gary Vee. What do you got for us, Sahil?
It's also a Simon Sinek quote. I know, boring. You were spending something else. It's a short quote. I don't remember it exactly, but it all boiled down to sometimes you're the problem, and it really resonated with me because it just echoes parts of my life where I just did not own up to one, my bad attitude, and two, my mistakes in group projects or just in relationships in general, professional and personal. Like it's really hard to, like as Gabriela said, you need to take accountability for your actions. It was really hard for me to accept that fact that what I do has ramifications. I really need to accept that I am the problem sometimes. I really take a look back at what I've done and how it can be better. That's why I'm big on self-reflection now, and it's improved me ever since. I like to hope and like to think that I'm a better guy now than I was, let's say, 2 years ago. So that's why that quote really, really resonated with me.
Nice. Can I finish off with my quote?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. My quote is from Naval Ravikant, and he said something very interesting that hit me. His quote goes, the most powerful people are those who are writing the algorithm for Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Because these people are literally controlling the narrative. They are rewriting people's brains. And that hits me. IT is the future, and people fail to understand how powerful that is. You see, I wanted to study notary. I didn't get the chance, so I did administration, or as they say, business management. And really was, I was really struggling with that part because I always liked the sense of power. I love the law. But this little piece of information that Naval Ravikant shared in his podcast, that was an eye opener for me personally.
That's a very, very provocative one if you think about it. And but then I want to close it off. Shan, look, do you have any quote that you enjoy or like, be it from the Val, Gary, or someone else we never heard
Hmm.
about?
So I'm gonna be honest. The Nafal Joe Rogan experience with Nafal Rafikant I think one of the greatest pieces of content ever made. I honestly believe it. Even though it's like 3 hours, I think it's one of the most brilliant pieces of content that's out there for free on the internet. But I think the one that I really like the most is the story of the Styrofoam Cup by Simon Sinek, that tells the story about um, like a higher up person who was speaking at a conference, and all of a sudden he kind of dropped his whole written speech, and he was like, and he told the story of how the experience of being like in a political or a higher up position the previous year to him speaking there at the conference as basically not somebody in a higher position or higher function, how it is different. And he tries to explain that in a lot of cases you are in a certain position, and because you are in a certain position, you get certain opportunities. And we sometimes take that for granted, or we think that basically we own the stature, we own the status of being that person that we are because we're a board member or we are the chairman. And that gives us the rights, or that gives us certain rights. But what we don't realize is once we are out of that position and we're just ourselves, but not in the position that people admire or inspire or respect that much, that we are still at the end human beings. So I think that's a really, I'm not gonna paraphrase the whole thing because it's actually that I'm telling Simon Sinek's story, but I think remembering that the only thing you ever own is the styrofoam cup. For those of you who are not familiar with it, Google it, Simon Sinek's styrofoam cup, and it's the story behind this styrofoam cup. And I think a lot of people forget that they get so power hungry and they want so much control of the power that they have when they are in a certain position. They don't realize that that power and that respect is for that specific position and not for them as a person. And I think that's something that people really underestimate, especially in a small country like Suriname. It's really like, yes, we are this, I am this powerful person and I get to decide, and I'm like the boss or the prince or the king, and everybody has to bow down for me without realizing that um, you're just a human being, just like everybody else. You're not better than somebody else because you have a certain function. And that's also something that a lot of people struggle with, especially in the corporate culture. Basically, your title, and it could be your title from your education or your title from what your position is within the corporate world. That kind of that dictates who you are and how much respect you should get. And people are so caught up on, and then they go to like their superior, asking their superior to tell other people like, can you tell them that I'm in that position and that I'm allowed to do that? And I'm like, no, respect is earned, it's not given. So when you go out there and ask somebody, a superior, to tell somebody else that they have to respect you because you have that title, that kind of already gives the idea that you don't really have taken the time to earn the respect of the people that you expect to respect you. So I think this is one of the most underrated things, and I think that story explains that perfectly.
I definitely
And
agree with Jean-Luc. 100%.
and
Respect is earned, not given.
and I think that's something that Gary Vee also says, and Motef just says here. Don't be scared to fail and to be grateful. And of course, I wore this shirt especially for this podcast as well. Yes, it says make mistakes. Yeah, it does say that.
Okay, interesting. What was that again? The styrofoam cup?
Yeah, it's the styrofoam cup. You can just search for it. The story of the styrofoam
The
cup.
story of the styrofoam cup.
It's told by Simon Sinek about a guy who actually told the story. But it's, I think, one of his life lessons that he likes to share during inspirational and motivational talks.
Awesome. Then I guess to close it off, to stay in the theme, I'll add one too. And one that I've been living through recently is by Seneca. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Because many people think that some people are just lucky or that they get an opportunity and they go do something, but they don't see the work that goes on beforehand. They don't see what preparation is needed for that slight overlap of preparation and opportunity to happen, and that often is described as luck. But it's not just, like the Irish say, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's very, you have to work towards it, and people may call it lucky from the outside, but there's a lot of hard work that goes on behind the scene. And sometimes you can take the most unseemingly things that you've done in the past for granted, and that may spin off into something big in the future.
If I
But
if I if I may shortly add on that, it's also like you can get lucky a couple of times in your life, but if you haven't put in the effort or the research or anything to prepare yourself for it, you're not gonna be able to optimize that luck. So that's also a big part. Like you can get lucky, you can have
yeah,
like a one hit
basically, it's
wonder.
what happens to lottery winners. They
Yeah,
win something,
and then
but
if
what
you're not
happens
ready
after?
for it, if you're not ready, like this is what I'm going to do once I hit lucky, which basically means preparing and working towards it, it's gonna be a one-off thing and it's gonna be done. And the rest of the life, everybody's gonna be like, remember when you got lucky with this? And it's gonna be the only thing you're gonna have. Whereas if you prepared for it, it's something that you get lucky, you use that luck to kind of get leverage, and you use that leverage forever to be successful in whatever you want to be successful in. So I think that's a really interesting take as well, Diego. Thanks for sharing that one.
Yeah. And I do have one comment or open question to close it off. Not something we have to answer, but this is to you guys to think about, and everyone still listening. Is we've mentioned quotes for Simon Sinek, Gary Vee, Naval Ravikant, Seneca, and people who fit this profile. Some others that I can think about are Tim Ferriss, Tom Bilyeu, but these are just males. And I've been thinking today, like, are there any females that fit kind of this profile, thought leaders or successful entrepreneurs that fit this profile that people can quote, look up to, or learn from? Because when I think back, most of the people I look up to and get inspiration or information from, or just to cross check if I'm researching something, what they think on the topic, are mostly uh, very heavily males. So if you guys have any females in mind, I'd be interested to know who they are and where they are.
I just listened to Shito Sujan. Do I pronounce it good?
Yeah,
Yes, you
that's her
did.
name.
It's a
Yes.
good one.
Yeah, emotional
Kanu,
intelligence.
I will say, you just drop good stuff for us. To me, it was honestly, Shito is just a good one. She spoke about emotional intelligence, and I have so much to learn. Um, I was like, hey, I never. It was. I'm so mixed up with all her stuff in my head, but to me, she is so open minded. She's just a good speaker. And you guys have to give her more chances to speak about anything and enough hours, especially enough time, not 1 hour, 2 hours, just enough time.
I would jump on what Ushafa said. She's right, very much. Sheetal is amazing in what she does. And my favorite part about her video was that emotional intelligence is not about being happy all the time or about hiding or suppressing your feelings. It's not a sign of weakness and it's not agreeing to everything all the time. I think that's the most important part of emotional intelligence. So thank you, Sheetal, if you're listening, wherever you are. I highly appreciate this wisdom, this knowledge. Keep striving.
And if you want to hear more of Sheetal, I think this is a good place. Sign up for the social media conference that's going to be at the end of October. Uh, can you tell us the exact dates? Because Sheetal's one of the keynote speakers during that conference, where she'll share more of her wisdom. And I don't know how many hours, but I think Shanduk has more details on that.
Thanks, Diego.
So what I'm definitely gonna do, I'm gonna do some plugs. We don't do enough plugs in the show, so we're definitely just gonna first of all plug Cheeto, and I'm really enjoying her talks as well. So for those of you who don't know, Cheeto was guest number 10 on Social Confoes. So if you go back to the website, so confoes.com, and you go to Social Confoes, she is actually episode 10. That was an episode with Sheetal Sujan. So if you were new to Social Confoes and haven't heard all the episode, please make sure to check out episode 10 of Social Confoes, which is about emotional intelligence and BTI and the story of herself, how actually she came about to live in Suriname. And also, if you're interested in her hearing her speak live, well, it's a digital event, but on socialmedia.sr, you can sign up for the Social Media Conference Suriname 2021, which is the anniversary edition. It's the fifth year we're holding it. And yes, she is a keynote speaker. So that's some free plugs. Thank you guys for doing some free plugs for us and for Sheetal as well.
Awesome. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, Shanluk. To the interns, Lady, Chavez, Sahil, Ushafi, and unfortunately, Shiansa didn't make it back. Thanks for sharing your experiences and having this fun conversation with us. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Um, I hope you guys continue with that, or good luck on that, the rest of that internship. Make it through all those weeks. To everyone who tuned in on the different socials, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, yada, yada, yada. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for all the questions, comments, feedbacks that you've given us. And as always, this episode will be released on Saturdays on the podcasting platforms. With that being said, we've already done some plugs. Shanluk, do you have anything to add before you close us off?
No, I'm just gonna close it off. To our guests, thank you so much for joining in. It was a pleasure to have multiple guests at our show. Diego, thanks as always. And for the people watching, the people in the comments, thank you for being interactive, asking questions. As always, this was Social Confoes, and we'll see you back next Tuesday. Bye bye.